The world depends on seafood as a necessary resource. Humans are not only dependent on seafood as a source of protein, but also as a source of income. With 44.9 million people engaged in work with fisheries and an estimate of 3 jobs produced in secondary activities. Due to a misconception that our ocean's resources are inexhaustible and the high demand of seafood, fisheries worldwide have exploited this resource.
Of world fishing fleets from 1950 onwards. To analyze their impact, scientists have calculated the primary production, PPR, of each region. PPR is a value which describes the total amount of energy that a fish needs to grow within a certain region. In areas of blue, the fleet extracted at least 10% of this energy. Orange indicates a minimum 20% extraction, and red shows at least 30%. Since 1950, the area fished by global fleets has increased tenfold. 100 million square kilometers are fished today with such intensity that these ecosystems are already severely damaged. That's around 1/3 of the world's oceans.
This in turn has caused repercussions of polluting and destroying coastal ecosystems such as salt marshes and seagrass beds, which are vulnerable to destructive fishing practices. Species have been wiped out and become critically endangered, and food webs have been severely disrupted. Fisheries now worldwide face the challenge of finding a way to sustain the resource they have severely depleted. Taronga Zoo has joined WWF's in a Fish for Life campaign, helping educate people on the state of world fisheries and how they can help sustain our oceans.
Did you see any? No! Now, unfortunately, this is a similar story for Marley's wild cousins. You see, we're catching and consuming more fish than we're allowing to breed in our oceans.
Well, now that you've heard a little bit more about the state of our world's oceans, we'd like you to help us out. And it's simple. Well, next time you're purchasing seafood, try looking out for this blue MSC logo. Now, where you see that fish tick means it has been independently judged to be a sustainable source by the Marine Stewardship Council, and that way we can all look forward to a future full of fish. Now, working together to protect our world's oceans means a future of some of our amazing marine life.
Sustainable seafood guides have been used previously in different countries. It has approximately grown to 200 internationally. WWFs and Taronga are handing out wallet-side guides which are given to customers, informing them on sustainable products to buy and some items to avoid. The scheme works on a point grading system in WWF shops where items labelled with 3 points are a good sustainable source, 2 points a good alternative, and 1 point needs improvement. The guides then suggest in areas where customers are unsure to choose Australian products over developing countries and supports a labelling brand, the Marine Stewardship Council. Other guides handed through other companies are based on the same concept except use a traffic light system, which still has the same ideal but uses the colours of a traffic light to represent the concept. Do you find the guide practical?
Yeah, me and a couple of other customers find them really easy to carry around in our wallets and things like that, so the information is always ready to be used.
Are you able to use the guides at restaurants or other seafood vendors efficiently?
Well, actually, I've had some confusions in restaurants and other places that support the guidelines. Whenever I ask if the seafood is sustainable or unsustainable, they never really know because they're uneducated on it. So I think staff should be well informed with information on the products they're selling to make the guides more effective.
Has the seafood guide changed the way you purchase?
Yeah, I'm now more conscious of what I'm purchasing, and I'm always looking for sustainable seafood products.
In a follow-up study of 400 visitors who had received the guides handed at Monterey Bay, USA, those surveyed 4 months later said their buying habits had changed. 76% actually reported that the guide had changed their attitude and had made them more diligent when inquiring and choosing particular seafood, and no longer bought specific types of seafood that were labelled unsustainable. Is there any other criticism you found in the guides?
Yeah, I've noticed a lack of information when purchasing freshwater species.
Globally, freshwater fisheries represent some of the most threatened systems and species. This in the long term not only does not benefit the restoration of the species and freshwater ecosystems, but also leads to a false public perception that these fisheries are not also in peril and may allow unsustainable practices to continue. As more consumers now want to help with the recovery of marine ecosystems, consumers are now following the guidelines and only purchasing from fisheries that produce sustainable seafood. The result of this action is that those fisheries given the colour green or ranked in a high point system now gain the economic benefits of being chosen above other seafood products. Have you been affected by the seafood guidelines?
Yeah, well, as my company is certified and sustainable, and more consumers are wanting to help with the recovery of the marine ecosystem, consumers are purchasing more from my company than any other uncertified company.
Does that mean uncertified sustainable companies are not benefiting economically?
Yeah, and it breaks my heart because most of the men from those companies are from developing countries, and it's where their practice is not just their job, but it's their entire life. There are different companies that certify fisheries, but I personally have been certified by the Marine Stewardship Council.
How did the Marine Stewardship Council certify?
The Marine Stewardship Council recognised that a sustainable fishery should be based on maintenance and re-establishment of healthy populations of targeted species, maintenance of the integrity of ecosystems, development, and maintenance of effective fishery management systems.
However, consumers must be aware of the controversy that occurred with MSC certified fisheries. The US trawl fishery for pollock was certified in 2005 and recommended for recertification this summer, despite the fact that the spawning biomass of these pollocks fell by 64% between 2004 and 2009. Sustainable fisheries should be always checked for certified conditions are not shown to be sustainable until they have reached those conditions. Through this analysis of seafood guides and their efficiency in making consumers aware of sustainable products and helping recover fisheries, it can be concluded that the ideals of these guides are very optimistic, however fine-tuning must be done. Companies must become more transparent, allowing all staff and those involved in the purchasing with information on how the seafood is caught, and other aspects to clarify if produce is sustainable. Staff who are also dealing with customers purchasing their seafood must be well informed as well, so customers cannot be confused and purchase the right seafood. If these problems are fixed, then seafood guides are a great way of promoting sustainability.